Let's crack on, shall we?
Alright guys, hope you're all well. Perhaps get yourself a drink for this video, as it could potentially be a long one. Not sure how I feel about the title for this series yet either. It's literally the only thing I could think of. What am I drinking? Captain Morgan's spiced rum and Old Jamaica ginger beer. I'm sure the cocktail has a name, but it's fucking lovely. If you've not tried it, I'd recommend you go do that. Right, so the reason I say you should get a drink is because somehow I've managed to do very little, but a lot of it this week. And we'll start out with what I've been playing this week, because I know that's what the majority of you care about. For starters, I've been playing a fair amount of Contra. Sadly, not the SNES version, as I don't own it, but the Xbox 360 Live Arcade version, which is... it's still a cracking game, don't get me wrong, and I fucking adore it. I've spent so many hours on that game. But the Xbox Live Arcade version, the levels are shorter, and so it's just all round easier. That being said, you can't actually use a Konami code, so it's still quite hard to beat. Still a cracking game, it's just a shame that they decided to do what they did to the levels. I need to do a side-by-side comparison actually of any version of Contra versus the Live Arcade version, as I'm sure the levels are much shorter. I've not researched that or tested it, but if memory serves me correctly, it doesn't... I swear when I used to play that game back in the day, the levels were not that fucking short. Either way, cracking game. Nothing to show, as I don't own any version of Contra in a physical form, which is abysmal. It's awful. I really must sort that one out. Something else I've been dabbling in this week here and when I can is Dragon Quest Realms of Reverie 6 on the Nintendo DS. As I said when I picked this up, this is my first experience with a Dragon Quest game properly, at least anyway, and I'm really pleasantly surprised by it actually. The attention to detail in this is unreal. Particularly really enjoying the dialogue in this from villagers and whatnot. They're just really a lot of attention to detail has been put in, and graphically it's fucking stunning. I really love the art style on this, as to be expected. I can't remember the name of the art director, but I'm pretty sure he's the guy that does Dragon Ball as well, isn't he? Which is right up my street. Obviously not a game to play if you're not a fan of RPGs, but if you are and you haven't played this, definitely give it a go. Very interested in playing the rest of the Dragon Quest series now. I'm not far into this, but I have been playing it as and when I can, and I am really enjoying it. Probably like half an hour at a time at the moment, which is pitiful, especially for an RPG of this scale, but I do really like it so far. Really good game. I've perhaps made that drink a little bit too strong. I do realise that this video is being uploaded a day late, off schedule by the way, but it was Easter fucking Sunday yesterday. What do you expect? I was too busy filling myself with lamb and hot cross buns. Put together, I might add. Beautiful combo. If you've not tried it, go and try a lamb sandwich using hot cross buns. Fantastic. Almost as good as a Vindaloo mince pie. If you haven't tried that, you haven't lived. Right, so another game I've been playing this week is on the Xbox 360, and that's Katana. I've managed to do a good 2-hour stint on this in the week, I think. Went through arcade mode a couple of times, must have died about 50,000 times. For those of you who don't know what this is, it's a crazy over-the-top bullet hell shooter by Rising Star Games. If you play Death Smiles, chances are you'll like this as well. Most of you must know what bullet hell shooters are like. Very much in the vein of R-Type, only Japanese and insanely over the top. I do enjoy this game, but I hate... it's really hard to know how to say this. I hate the art style of these Japanese over the top ones. I can't quite see the attraction to 12-year-old schoolgirls, and I don't understand why they turn into planes. For the most part, I've got no idea what's going on, but it is a complete blast to play. It's a lot of fun. Been enjoying this a lot. I think it's one of those games that will remain in my collection forever, just because it's so easy to sit back and die on a lot of times in a row. I'd love to say I'm good at it, but I'm really not. I also managed to play a fair bit of Bastion again this week. Started playing that on a new gamer tag I created a while back on my 360 under the name of Twit the Shred. Usually I play under a gamer tag called Twit's Funeral, but I fancied a fresh start for once. It doesn't mean I'm getting rid of the other account, I just fancied earning achievements again to feel like I was acquiring something. It's sad and pathetic, I know, but there's something about achievements, I just really like earning them. It's unexplainable. I don't like myself for it, but it's just one of those things. So yeah, I've been playing a fair bit of Bastion, which I've mentioned on my channel numerous times. I imagine the logo's somewhere up there, or maybe some footage, I ain't got a clue. Obviously got nothing to show, because it's not a physical fucking game. I hate this digital crap, but I keep feeding it, I can't help it. But Bastion is a fucking incredible game. If you've never played it before, I've always said it's a game that should have belonged on the Dreamcast. It's all like hand-painted stills for the backgrounds. It's like an isometric view action-adventure game. It's really simple, it's heavily story-driven. The narrative on it is absolutely fantastic, a really unique story, well worth a play if you're into that sort of thing. The reason I say it looks like it belongs on a Dreamcast, and if it looks like it belongs on a Dreamcast, you know it's going to be a good game, and it really is. It's such a cracking title. So I'm probably playing through that for about the 4th time at the moment. I'm only like 3-4 levels in, but thoroughly enjoyable experience every time I play it. I've also been playing a couple of Steam games this week. Again, nothing to show for them, as expected. Get used to that, folks. Logo's probably there, and chances are some footage for this one, as it is a game I'm probably going to be uploading a video of in the future. And that game is called Sonnys Blade, as you're already aware, because it's up there. Now this is a 2D side-scroller, very traditional. It's very much like a mix between Castlevania, Ghosts and Goblins, and Black Tiger. Very Capcom-esque. It's really hard. It's adventure-driven. I'm stuck on it. I can't seem to get to level 3. I'm really stuck on it. The art style is fantastic. It's got just the right amount of difficulty on it. The weapons on it are great, and well, when you see me do a gameplay on it, you'll see why I say it's just like Black Tiger. The second weapon you unlock is you punch and daggers fly out. That should be enough to fucking draw you into it. So if you like, obviously your classic 2D Gothic style platformers that are balls to the wall fucking hard, I recommend you go try. And secondly, for the Steam games we've been playing this week, is Escape from Dead Island, which is obviously part of the Dead Island series. Probably some footage up there actually, because again it's another game I want to do a recording of at some point, so look forward to that one, or not. Do what you like really, I don't much care. But the game looks interesting to me. Dead Island I spent a lot of time on. It's obviously a sandbox style horror, open world bland fest. I spent a lot of time on it, but it is the most tediously boring game I think I've ever played in my life. Nothing happens, the characters are awful in it. You've got zero attachment to anyone, the NPCs don't seem to interact with the character you're playing as. It seems like it's only designed to be played in 4-player co-op. So many flaws I can pick out with that game, even though I've played it quite a lot, because it is quite a fun experience in co-op, flaws aside. Now, Escape from Dead Island is a third-person, cel-shaded, story-driven adventure game, I guess, or action-adventure. I've not really played a lot of it, so I can't say that for sure. I've literally played about 20 minutes, I've just passed the tutorial. It's not what I thought it was going to be, I've got to admit, but it seems pretty good so far. The only gripe I've got with it is the character you play as is a complete and utter cunt. The reason I say that is because he's stranded on a fucking beach and he's decided to wear a fucking hoodie. Wear appropriate clothing, you fucking dumbass. Yeah, so far the characters in it have like a very college student sort of vibe to it, which isn't floating my boat, but the art style on it is really nice. The combat, a lot of people have had issues with because you've got a stamina meter. You've basically got light attack, heavy attack, and you can kick. I'm not sure if you can push, and you can run, and everything you do uses a bit of stamina. Stamina? That's an interesting way of saying it. A bit of stamina. That word. Very much in the vein of, I'm pretty sure Dark Souls does it. A lot of people have slated this title for it, but I quite enjoy it because it brings a level of strategy into your gameplay. You can't just dive in and do light attack, light attack, light attack, light attack, hoping that these zombies are just going to fall back, because it just doesn't fly. You hit light attack, and you basically got to retreat a little bit, just so you can recoup. It's got quite a nice levelty of difficulty, I think. Levelty? Jesus Christ. Can't speak for shit. Blame the rum. But it's quite a nice game so far. I'm not too sure about the story, but art style is what sold it for me, and I look forward to playing this one through. Alright, that's pretty much it for games I played this week. I potentially missed something, as I have played a fair amount. I can't say I've kept that much of a close eye on it. Something to look out for the future, I guess. But almost the second I've finished uploading this video, I will be playing some Beautiful Joe on the GameCube. I've got it loaded up now, I'm looking at the cutscenes, and I'm so enticed to play this again. I fucking adore this game. So other than gaming this week, I can't really say I've done a lot. My life's really not that interesting, so no soldering stories this time. So what have I been listening to this week? Well, for starters, as some of you may have already noticed, I've been listening to a fair amount of Bowie this week. I uploaded a video. If you haven't watched it, here's a snippet from it right now. Bloody cracking song that is. Yeah, I've been listening to a fair amount of Bowie. I've literally only got one physical copy of his albums, and that's his best of, which isn't in the room at the moment because I didn't do any preparation before recording this video. Well done me. Most of the stuff I have is digital. I've been listening to the Hunky Dory album, which is absolutely fantastic, which is obviously what Life on Mars is from. The reason I've been listening to a lot of him this week is because I've been thinking about, not watching, thinking about Life on Mars TV series and Ashes to Ashes, and obviously David Bowie features heavily in that as the soundtrack, as the titles would imply. I was about to say taters then. Fucking, there's no potatoes in Life on Mars, as far as I'm aware. It is swelteringly hot today. I don't know what the fuck this heat's come from. So yeah, big fan of Bowie. Not his later poppier stuff, but definitely early 80s, late 70s stuff. Massive fan of Bowie. Next, I've been listening to the Gears of War soundtrack quite a lot, mainly because this battle theme is one of the best battle themes I've ever come across. It's such a fantastic orchestral piece, and it really fucking gets you in the mood to do something every time you hear it. It builds atmosphere really, really well. I must get my hands on a physical copy of that album actually. Gears of War soundtrack. Gotta look out for that one. Lastly, I've been listening to a lot of this album/albums, if that makes any sense whatsoever. It's another project that the mastermind, Arjen Lucassen, I'm confident I'm saying that wrong, but I don't care, I love him. He's the mastermind behind this project, and usually I buy these albums on release day. I was a bit late to the party on this one, I managed to grab it a couple of days after, but I absolutely adore this album so far, and it is The Gentle Storm Diary. It's fantastic. It's not like Arjen's usual stuff, in the sense that there's only one vocalist features on it, and that is, I always say names wrong. These foreign names, man, they're really, really hard to get grip of. Anneke van Giersbergen. Your guess is as good as mine. Either way, she's the vocalist from the brilliant band that is The Gathering, and she's also Devin Townsend project vocalist, female vocalist on that. Because she doesn't turn into a man when she goes to work for Devin Townsend, that's not how that works. Yeah, this is a double album, but it is the same album twice. You get a storm version and a gentle version. So you get an acoustic version of the album and a heavy version of the album, and it works brilliantly. I can't actually decide which one I like more. I think I like the gentle version more, but I play the storm version more, if that makes sense. I think the gentle version is being produced better than the heavy one. Just me, but the heavy one I play a lot more because it falls into my tastes a lot more. I haven't really listened to the album enough yet to have a favourite riff, but I have learnt a couple of them, and this is the most fun one to play off it so far. And that's from the title track, The Storm, which is fantastic. Again, heavy progressive rock, fantastic. Just give it a go. Do yourself a favour and give it a go. It doesn't matter what you're into, just fucking open your mind and give it a fucking go. I am sweating my fucking bollocks off here. Right, on to what I've been watching this week, and for once it's a fair amount. Usually I don't watch a lot of films. I tend to go in periods where I watch a ton, like fucking 3 and 4 in a row a night, and then months without listening to anything or whatsoever. My screen just went blank then, that freaked me out. So yeah, let's cover TV first, because TV I've been watching nothing, and unfortunately I missed last week's episode of I can't remember its name, it's that good. Banished, yeah, I really do enjoy it actually, I just forgot its name. Unfortunately I missed last week's episode of Banished, so I'm going to have to catch that up on iPlayer at some point. I think that was episode 5, it's going to be episode 6 this week. Really looking forward to see how that concludes, as there are only 7 episodes in that series. Fantastic. If you've not watched it yet, again, I recommend you go give it a try. Right, movies. I think I've watched 4 films. They were over 2 days, so 2 films a night. Last night I had a bit of a binge on kids' films, so I finally got my ass into gear and watched the Muppets movie. I can see your faces already, and I think the less said about that film, the better. It's not that it's a bad film. I think anybody who says it's a bad film is lying to themselves. It's enjoyable, but it could do with less singing. Yeah, it's the Muppets. Who doesn't like the fucking Muppets? And secondly, I watched the Lego movie, which was a massive disappointment actually. I was expecting a lot from Lego. There's a lot that you can do with Lego, and I don't feel like they achieved anything that they could have achieved with it. The story for the most part was okay, but the references got really tedious throughout it. I'm trying to talk this through without giving any spoilers. The ending of the film was also a massive disappointment, and you can probably hear my ice rattling in the background, so I'm going to put this down. Yeah, as I was saying, the ending was a massive disappointment because it goes into like a live action sequence with a kid and his father, which it felt unnecessary. For the most part, I think anybody watching the film could tell what was going on here. It was obviously a child's imagination playing this out, who was angry at his dad. If you didn't get that, I don't think you were paying that much attention to the film. I just think the ending was unnecessary, and it was just an excuse to show Will Ferrell's face, which I could do with seeing less of, to be honest. But it was an okay film. I'd probably watch it again. It's one of those films you can just put on in the background and forget about. Right, so I watched a couple of films yesterday as well, and the first one of those films being Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Wasn't a massive fan of the first Captain America film, so I wasn't really expecting a lot from the second one. I did enjoy his character in the Avengers movie, and I kind of enjoy his character in the comics for the most part. He's a really fun character to play in Marvel vs. Capcom though, I've got to say. I'll just throw that out there, redeem him somehow. With him being Captain America, I don't think he's ever related to the English as much as he has to Americans. We don't tend to like that whole patriotism that the Americans go for, and his character really falls flat on me. I'm just speaking on behalf of myself here. So his story is obviously really patriotic as well, and I'm just not a fan of that. That being said, the second Captain America film, it was pretty good. I found it fell flat a lot on the technology used within the film, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Unfortunately, these Marvel films have got themselves into a state now where you're watching them just thinking, why aren't they just calling the Avengers to sort this out? If there's a threat, why isn't Captain America just picking up his phone and going, oh hey Iron Man, do you want to give me a hand? I'm in a bit of a pickle here, instead of soldiering on their own. It doesn't quite make sense. I'm sat watching it thinking, this is a waste of time. what the hell are you doing, man? Just get your buddies in, get it over and done with, go home, have a cup of fucking tea. The villain in that film was pretty cool. Obviously his long childhood friend, Bucky. Really, really good character actually, but I can't hear his name without thinking of the fucking Bucky O'Hare, the 80s cartoon. Fantastic cartoon, but you hear Bucky and this instantly plays in my head. Bucky! Let's croak some toads. And lastly, the films I watched this week, I watched a film called Only Lovers Left Alive, which I'm going to say right off the bat is the best vampire film since Interview with a Vampire. Just my opinion, obviously. It manages to be a vampire film without featuring vampires too much, even though their lead roles, it's clearly about vampires, but they don't make it obvious. It stars Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston, which are two fantastic actors. It's a romance film, for the most part, got to be honest, but the story is really, really gripping. It's kind of hard to explain actually. The whole film has a kind of somber feel, and for the most part, fuck all happens. It's basically them just chilling out for quite some time, and it's too hard to say something about it where I'm not going to ruin the plot and really make it pointless watching the film. But it's definitely a worthwhile watch. I'll probably say more about that film, but I won't, because I'm going to stumble over myself way too much at the moment thanks to my fucking drink. Not the smartest idea to be drinking that on camera. Right, now on to some questions. As previously stated in the last video, this is going to be a regular thing at the end of these, so if you do want me to answer a question, please leave them in the description below and I'll answer them all in the following video. I did intend on making these videos short, but there's just too much to talk about. They'll go on for as long as they fucking need to. Right, so the first question comes from a YouTuber called Wick, or NickWick35. Kind of a tongue twister, that one. He's a really good YouTuber actually. I've not checked out a lot of his videos, I have to say, but he's really community driven and he always makes an effort to comment on my videos, which is very much appreciated. So thank you very much for your question, mate. And he asks, sorry, I'm going to be looking over here because it's the only place where my questions are. He asks, what is your all-time favourite game? He apologises if I've already answered this in a different video, which I more than likely have, but if I can't remember, what's the fucking chances of you lot remembering? If you have, let me know. Mine has to be Bioshock or Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Two fantastic titles, I must add. Bioshock seems to creep into people's all-time favourite games lists more and more these days, and I can see why. It's a really innovative title. I can definitely see its popularity gaining a lot over the coming years as well. But as far as my all-time favourite game, I really struggle to answer this one, to be honest. I play a lot of games, I love a lot of games, and depending on what time of the day it is, what fucking day of the week it is, what time of the year it is, my answer to this will always fucking change. So I've got a selection of games here that I really adore, and I ping pong between these all the time. So first, believe it or not, really high on my list of all-time favourite games, two Xbox 360 titles. I know it's last gen, but these games are fantastic, and that's Lost Odyssey and Nier. Two fantastic RPGs, obviously Lost Odyssey being a traditional RPG and Nier being an action-adventure RPG, but I've put a lot of hours into these and they're really good titles. I don't want to say too much about them because I'll be here forever. I'm sure I've talked about them enough before. If you're an RPG fan and you haven't checked these out, go do it. Especially Nier, actually, it's a very underrated title. And then we've got 3 GameCube games which I ping pong between all the time. First being Beautiful Joe. You've got to have the pink cover of this. The yellow version, it doesn't deserve to be talked about. Pink all the way. Much like Wick, has to be Wind Waker. I think I've said this before, but this is one of the few games I've pre-ordered. I remember getting a doctor's note for school to go and pick this game up. I really thoroughly enjoy this game. Every time I play it, it manages to just put a really big fucking smile on my face. It's one of the only Zelda games where Link has a personality as well, and it just works so well. The graphic style on it is fantastic, and it looks amazing, even on the GameCube. I know there's a HD remake out now, which I need to get my fucking hands on. But really good. I wish I still had a cardboard slipcover for this. I very rarely see them now, and a lot of people don't believe me that they exist. But my pre-order came with a cardboard slipcover, and I want it fucking back. And lastly will be Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2 on the GameCube. The reason I choose this version and not the Dreamcast one is because this is the one I played the most. A lot of hours spent on this game, which I'm sure you're aware. I've done enough videos on this fucking game now. Absolutely adore it. Obviously I play the PC version now on hacked servers, but a really, really good game. So yeah, I ping pong between those 3 GameCube games a lot as well. And then I can't decide between the Street Fighter series and the Marvel vs Capcom series. Marvel vs Capcom 3 I've spent so much time on. Such a fantastic game. But in all honesty, if I had to answer one all-time favourite game, the answer would probably be Street Fighter 2 Special Champion Edition on the Mega Drive. Arguably the SNES versions are a lot better, but this is the one I had as a kid. I used to play this with my cousin a fair amount as a kid, and always used to get my ass handed to me. I didn't understand what the fuck I was doing, but I always go back to this game. I always will go back to this game. I love it. I think it's probably the perfect game. But if you asked me that tomorrow, I'll probably say one of the other games, because I'm ashamed to say that this old boy gets forgotten about quite a lot. So yeah, thanks for your question, mate. Hey, next we have 2 questions from a YouTuber called Sniper. I think I'll have to limit the amount of questions if we can ask here, but we'll do a few videos first and see how they go. But 2 questions from a YouTuber called Sniper. Thank you very much for your questions, mate. And thank you very much for stopping by. I know you've been around here before. You're very much a familiar face. And he asks, what games are you most looking forward to this year? Personally, mine is Star Wars Battlefront and Batman Arkham Knight. Oh, that was a horrible noise. 2 games that sound very interesting. Batman I've sort of lost interest in since Arkham Origins, as that game was pretty poor. But Star Wars Battlefront, that's going to be exciting. To be honest with you, I haven't kept up with what's coming out this year at all. I've really lost all interest when it comes to next generation games, and the only game I'm looking forward to at the moment across any platform is The Witcher 3. I cannot wait for that game. The story in the Witcher series is so good and so underappreciated. I'm currently reading the books of that as well. I don't think all of them have been translated from Polish to English yet, but such a fantastic narrative, and The Witcher 3 just looks incredible. Obviously I'm going to be playing that on PC because I don't own a next generation system, but PC is definitely going to be the platform to play that on, as it looks spectacular. And his second question is, are you excited for the new Game of Thrones series? Might be obvious, but I want to hear your thoughts. He spells here H-E-R-E as well. Just thought I'd point that out, mate. Who am I to say? My spelling is atrocious, just made me laugh. I'm actually between minds when it comes to Game of Thrones Season 5. I guess you can very much say I'm a book purist these days. If you've not read the books, you're not going to have a clue what I'm on about, and Game of Thrones is one of those things it's really hard to talk about without ruining half the fucking story and throwing spoilers out there all the times. But with the series, they've taken it in a slightly different direction to what the book has, and last season they really fucked me off with a few of the decisions they made. It was still a cracking series, and it's still the best thing on TV these days. I don't think there's ever going to be a TV series like it again as well, not for many years to come. But I'm looking forward to it, but I'm very cautious to see what they do with it. I know they've stated they're going to kill off characters that haven't been killed off in the book yet, or won't ever be killed off. I think they're going to end the books in one way and the series in another, which is kind of good, but I'm really struggling to get in the mood to watch this series, because this is the series where the TV series is going to overtake the story in the books, and that scares me a little bit, as I quite enjoy to read it first and then watch it, but we'll see how we go. It's going to be good no matter what happens. So yeah, thank you very much for your questions, mate. Next we have a group of 4 questions from one of the best YouTubers around, one of my personal favourites. I always watch this channel. He's a great bloke as well, very community driven, and it's Pete Sneztastic. Thank you very much for your questions, mate. Just throw this out there, I think 5 questions per person is going to be the limit on this, otherwise it's just going to get a little bit too much to handle. But Pete's asked 4, and his first question is, when creating a new piece of music, where do you begin? I would love to answer that. I would genuinely love to know this myself. Without tooting my own horn, I'm a good musician, but a shit composer. I always really struggle to finish things to the end. I usually get inspired by obviously other people's music, but games are a massive influence to me. If I've played something and they've sort of pushed some sort of feeling across to me, I will try and note that down. Usually on the keyboard first, or acoustic guitar. Usually the electric guitars come last. But usually I just get one riff. It could even be like a group of 3 notes, and I just continually build it from there. Just loop it over and over and just see what sounds good. I wish there was a good answer for that, but there isn't. And ultimately I'm really bad at composing anyway. I'm such a sucker for half doing a song and then just deleting the lot because I'm not happy with it. His next question is, if you could spend a day with one dead famous person, who would it be and why? That is a fucking hard question. Mainly because I don't like famous people. I couldn't give a damn about them. It's one of those things where they say never meet your heroes. I really do believe in that, and I don't believe any person would have anything to offer me conversationally just because they were famous. Not a good reason to speak to people, but if I could spend the day with one dead famous person, who would it be and why? It's so hard to answer. Really hard to answer. I mean, first you've really got to find out if I was spending the day with this person, would all their time be devoted to me? Would they want to talk to me? Would they be able to offer me what I wanted from the situation? In an ideal world, I guess it would have to be that they are there for the sole purpose of speaking to you and enlightening you, in which case it would have to be someone who could offer me something for my own personal gain, so someone who could teach me a lot. Oh God, man, it's so hard. This is one of the hardest questions I've ever been asked, I think. I'd probably have to say Frank Zappa, who's an absolutely phenomenal musician, an all-round fucking crazy guy. If you don't know who Frank Zappa is, what world are you living on? I think he'd have a lot to offer, a lot of information and a lot to enlighten me with. So yeah, that was a very difficult question. Less of them, please. Very thought-provoking. Right, third, he asks, if you could travel through time, where would you go and why? If you could travel through time. There can only really be 2 places, can't there? That's got to be the beginning and the end. You either go to the beginning to find out how it all started, or you go to the end to find out how it all ends. And if it doesn't end, you go as far as you possibly can go to learn as much information as you can to bring it back. Can you come back once you've gone there? I don't know. Dangerous territory, that one. I think I'd go forward because I'd like to learn something new and be enlightened by something. Yeah, another difficult question. Pete, you're full of these. And finally, he asks quite a simple question really, and that's, what's the most random instrument that you play? It's hard to define random, because ultimately what's random to somebody else, what's random to me is something that's completely different. I guess, really, it would have to be this guy, Omatone. Whether you can class this as an instrument or not, I don't know, and I can't really play it that well, but it's quite fun. Essentially, Omatone is a singing sperm who's never in tune. Sounds very like 8-bit 80s. Got 2 settings, well 3 settings actually, which is high, medium and low. He's got a pitch shifter touchpad here, I guess, and then he's got like a velocity thing, which is his mouth, where you push the sides and he gets louder, obviously because the sound hole is opening. He's the most pointless instrument in the world. I can't play it very well, I don't think anyone can, but he's a lot of fun. I've actually used him in a couple of songs as well. Yeah, it's probably the most random instrument, if you can class it as an instrument. If we're talking traditional sense of instrument, the most random instrument that I can play, to me, is probably the mandolin. Yeah, probably the most random instrument in my collection actually. Again, I can't play this too well, but I use it occasionally to complement some stuff that I'm recording with. Instruments I can play are mandolin a little bit, violin very little, trying to get better at that, but man, that's a hard instrument to play. Ukulele a fair amount, and then obviously bass and guitar, keyboard, piano, just usual shit really. Haven't really touched a lot of drums, and I can't sing to save my life. So yeah, mandolin or omatone in short. Thanks very much for your questions, Pete. That's it for questions this week actually. Again, as previously stated, if you do have any questions that you'd like me to answer in the following video, please leave them in the comment box below. I think that's it for this video. I've made this a little bit longer than I probably intended it to begin with. I'm boiling now, as you can probably see. Sweat on my forehead, because I'm disgusting like that. I'm fucking sweating my tits off here, so I'm going to call it a night. Cheers guys, enjoy, see you next week.